Let's talk about 5 essential tools for the international SEO. I'm Natalia. I'm an international SEO consultant. I'm freelancing. However, I come from agency background, so I've been doing international SEO for quite a while now. And I'm based in Barcelona. However, I'm Polish. So that kind of helps, with the language thing, being here and there. And today, I'm going to talk to you about 5 SEO tools. But tools are nothing if we're not solving a problem. So we're going to talk about 5 SEO problems. Also, problems are nothing if we don't make it examples. So we're going to try to mention 5 examples, more or less. Some into deeper level, some into lower level. And then I thought, we're doing 5 tools, 5 problems, 5 examples. I kind of have to put 5 search engines, right? There has to be a 5. I'm not going to talk about all 5 search engines in detail. I'm just going to throw them in there, okay? And we're going to make a full circle. So let's start with the first problem. Understanding the SERP, which is the biggest problem, I think, today for international SEO. And I'm not going to talk about the ever-evolving landscape for search engine results, which also is true. Search engine results are changing. But no, that's obviously ChatGPT intro to international SEO, which I'm not going to talk about. I'm going to talk about one question that many people seem to have asked me in the past and keep asking me, which is, why don't I just try to see international SEO SERPs by, for example, assuming the results are the same everywhere, which is not true. Using incognito mode, which we should know by now does not really work, and it's not really incognito. Use Google ES, Google FR, google.co.uk. No, it does not take you to a different Google version. It's still the same Google you're using, even if you navigate to a different address. Use some location parameters. It works to some extent. It will localize some part of the results, but you still see the results you're in the country you're based in. So no, also no. And why not change the language setting in SERP, which is also an option. And that also does not take you to a different version of Google. And let me tell you why. It's not just personalization. It's not just Google trying to do that because they feel like it. It's actually law. So there is right to be forgotten, which is the EU law. There is Digital Millennium Copyright Act, which is a US law. And there's also government requests that Google takes to basically moderate or censor, if you will, some of the results. So this means that by law, Google is obliged to serve you different search results depending on where you are. So to escape that, one fun fact actually I wanted to share. So the government requests are actually particular requests governments make based on certain laws. And I found a very old statistic, but that's the newest one I could find from 10 years ago. Apparently Google admitted more than 50% of such requests by governments. So it actually is happening. I mean, Google is being impacted by politics and by law. And this one means you have to invest in a VPN. You have to invest in a VPN. If you're not having a VPN subscription, you're not an international SEO. So let's see, in raise of hands, who's got a paid VPN subscription? Yay, good group. So I don't have to kind of transform you into thinking that you need a VPN, but trust me, that's kind of a barrier for many people because it's the first tool they feel like they're not sure they have to pay for. But once you pay for that, you understand that this is what makes you international SEO. So you start to see results from other countries, you get insights into competitors, but most importantly, you understand the SERP. So yeah, using a VPN is the only way to actually see Google results in different countries and actually understand how they are. We'll come back to the SERP thing later, but just to tell you that SERPs are really different everywhere. So you might think, oh, it's answer box, it's photos, videos. It's really different in every single market. So many people ask me what VPN I recommend. That's the one I actually use at the moment, NordVPN. But I can't say it's any better or worse than the other competitors that are on the market. I've used ProtonVPN in the past. I've used ExpressVPN in the past, and they're fine. I've never used CyberGhost, but I hear good things about it. So any paid subscription will do. And one question that comes up again and again, and I'm throwing in first search engine out of Google, which is Baidu. Some people have asked me in the past if they need to connect to a VPN to replicate the Baidu experience. And the answer is no. Because you might be aware that China is behind what we call a big Chinese internet wall. So people from China don't access the same internet as we know it here. However, they don't block anyone from the outside to access their internet. So Baidu is the same for us. So if you navigate to baidu.com today and you conduct any search, you'll get the same results. Also, China does not care about international SEO because they are only targeting China and Chinese, Mandarin Chinese. So there's no difference if you do it from here or from somewhere else. If you want to be a purist, you might connect to Hong Kong VPN just to kind of be as close as you get. But honestly, the differences in rankings of Baidu are minuscule, so you don't have to do that. And also, fun fact for you, I don't know a single paid VPN subscription that connects you to China. So even if you wanted to, you really can't. I mean, if someone knows one, please let me know later, because that would be a fun thing to do. But it's not, a business model that many VPN companies can sustain, I guess. So no, the answer is no. Second big problem, detecting international tech SEO issues. And by tech SEO issues, I want to say most of the international SEO work I do is actually international tech SEO. Because most of the things I solve is called technical level. And let me tell you about my favorite tech international issues in my personal ranking. Number 3, language versions without a unique URL. So that happens not very often, but when it does, it kind of blows your mind that it happened again. So there is a group of websites in the world that localize their website, but make the URLs dynamically change the language. So Google has no bloody idea that there has been a different language version than the one they crawled from the IP they crawled, which typically is English, which is the base language. Second place, redirects based on IP. Oh, that's pure evil. Like, don't do that. There is very few cases when you have to do that. This is when you work for restricted industries. If by law you have to serve your content to a group of people and this group of people only, that's a different story. And here we're talking about gambling, CBD, which are industries by law that cannot just serve their content to anyone, anywhere. If you're not one of those industries, please never do that. There's no reason for that. And Google is known to try to crawl websites from different IP addresses than their own US, but it's only a small percentage of crawl. Most of the crawling comes from the US. So if you do that, it's a huge SEO issue because most of the English will be discovered, so don't do that. And then back to number 1, language selector not crawlable. And I'm gonna explain this one because it's a very fun one when you get to find it and when you get to solve it. So literally, last December, I had a new lead come in and say to me, our site was recently launched into 26 new languages, but they are just not getting indexed. And I'm thinking, that's something for me, perfect. So we're doing this one-off investigation into indexing, which turns out not to be indexing issue, it seems to be crawling issue. So, what did I do? Trying to find international crawling issue? Screaming frog. International SEO is not that different from any SEO, it's just the international context you add to it. So when you know enough international SEO issues, like my top 3, you know what issues to find in the tools you have used for other SEO activities. So it turns out, all the new language versions were actually orphan sites. So maybe you are familiar with the term of orphan pages. Orphan sites means basically the whole language version was never discovered by Google because it was not linked to from anywhere. So the moment we fix that, this is the example of the code. I can understand it's quite small, but just so you know, the href link is a hash. It means it's just never linked to by HTML. The reason for that was quite unusual, I have to say. This is a website that's been automatically translated into all those languages. And they are a crowdfunding platform. They had to give like a legal notice that they are being automatically translated, not to be held responsible for any wording that could be misleading. That's why they created a pop-up that's basically dynamic on the translation level so that people can know this is not official language version. However, that doesn't mean they didn't have to make the URL actually unique to that single language first. So we fixed that around here. And look what badly happened. That's my favorite type of client. Because the languages were there. Metadata was there. Content was there. It was actually a pretty good job for automated translation. The only part that's missing was the fact that Google had to discover it. And the day it started discovering, it's a gift that keeps on giving. I mean, every single day I check the Search Console, it's the new record of impressions, followed by a bit more modest, but still impressive amount of clicks. I have to say that we added language selector fix plus hreflang in the same deploy. It would be beautiful to actually test hreflang first and see how much impact it had. It would be beautiful to check just the language selector. There was no time for that in this project. It was one-off. I had to prove to my client I'm worth working with. Now they are actually signing on to do ongoing job because they're impressed with this. I mean, who wouldn't be? But, but I have to say, I believe language selector fix accounts for 80 to 90% of all this traffic, and hreflang is minuscule here. It was all about the internal linking between the versions of the sites that actually made it fixed, so Google can crawl and understand the relationship between pages. So yeah. Every single day, we're going better. Okay, problem 3. Keyword research and content ideas. And that's a very specific problem for a consultant like myself. I do speak Polish, I do speak English, and I do speak Spanish, as I'm based in Spain, but I don't typically conduct keyword research in other languages. I don't say I haven't. In my past agency life, I did conduct keyword research in languages I didn't really speak. Do I recommend it? No. Can you get away with this? Yes. It's not, you know, the art of SEO that the way it should be done, but it still happens, right? Now, as a freelance consultant, I choose not to do this because I believe I should give the work to people who are actually qualified to do it. However, I get a specific type of client who comes to me with a specific issue, which is, we have a very knowledgeable in-house writer, but they have no idea about SEO. So this is the type of client that actually has the language skills and the product skills. They don't have the SEO skills, that's what I have. And that's how we can complement each other and actually make that process work. Other cases, I don't touch content. I just do technical international SEO or strategy. In this case, I can put my hands in. And the answer to this is, who knows this tool? Raise of hands. Yes, very good. This is also asked. I didn't want to be preferential. So, I've also added the example of the competitor, which is not really a competitor because it's a different data sort, which is Answer the Public. However, I typically recommend this one because the advantage over Answer the Public is it's more real time. You can actually get the trends from here. The other one is past data. It's not going to fill you in within days trends or weeks trends because it's usually very, very backwards, which is doesn't mean it's bad. It's just different data set. For differentiation, this is actually Google functionality of people also ask. This is Google Autocomplete, okay? So different type of questions. Both give you questions that you can feed to your client as content ideas, as FAQ question ideas, as any sort of heading ideas. And both tools operate in every single language that Google supports. So you can pick any country, any locale of any sort of client you have and provide them with this. They take that, they cherry pick what they think is interesting to be a blog post, and they can start a content process that is somewhat SEO informed. Typically, they really get excited by this. They see one graph like that and they already know where to go. So it's your job just to give them the tools that they can later use. Okay, problem number 4. Technical SEO monitoring internationally. This is a big one, because one thing is we detect that one beautiful issue. Second one is we actually go and continuously look for issues. And for this, tool number 1 is your Google Search Console. But what I want to really show you here is the fact, if you don't see, I will just explain it to you. Every single property is a language folder. So this industrial client has got 30 plus market language combinations. And the job number 1 is to make sure you track every single of them separately. So one global search console will not do. It's not enough information in detail. So not only every single market has got a Google Search Console property, you also treat it as a separate client. So literally any international SEO project I work on, I agree on priorities as it comes to markets I'm trying to target and how much resource I'm going to put into each of them. And I'm not saying I'm working on all the markets this client has. I'm actually working on 5 top markets, biggest by numbers, basically. But it's established that this is my priority. So every single month, I do a separate investigation for every of those 5 markets I'm focusing on, which is basically France, Spain, UK, Germany, and Poland. That's the 5 they've picked. However, I have also time apart for the global one. Global one, not much of a priority. The idea is you find separate insights into every single property. That's how you make your international SEO actually more than global SEO. Okay. Who knows this tool? Bing Webmasters. The Bing's counterpart of Google Search Console. One thing that will screw with my mind every single time: clicks and impressions in this tool, opposite colors than Google Search Console. So impressions are blue and clicks are violet. Amazing. The truth is, the on-page part of this tool, not amazing, because it does not give you details into queries. You can't filter by specific keywords, so you can't see keyword evolution in time, you can't compare it in time. Not very useful for that. However, very useful for technical SEO. It will tell you all major issues with indexing, quality, and all whatnot. So, worth having it. And the best part is, you set it up within 3 clicks, because you log in to your Google account, and you just import all your Search Console properties. So if you haven't done that yet, do it today. It doesn't cost you anything. The verification from Google will work, and you just have that data. And when you need it, you have it. Okay, who knows this tool? That's Baidu Webmasters. It's called, now, sorry for my pronunciation, Baidu Zhangzheng. That's the best I can do. And it's really hard to verify. So the biggest issue with international SEO in other search engines is actually getting in, the first step. In this case, you need a Chinese phone number to get verified. And when I say Chinese phone number, burner phones don't work. You actually need double authentication. So to get in, you actually need a client that has got Chinese employee, Chinese office that can verify themselves. Once you're in, the trick is you log in and you use Google Translate on your Chrome, and it actually makes sense. It's doable. I don't say from day one you will be mastering that tool, because it is a bit complex, but it does make sense. And to throw in another search engine, as I promised there have to be 5, that's Naver. If any of you have ever heard about Naver. So it used to be a really huge search engine in South Korea. But since Samsung started to dominate that market, it really started dropping in the market share, just because Android were promoting Google. So it's not that prominent anymore. But it still has got some market share. What's interesting about this one is you have to get verified there to show up. This search engine is kind of a mix of search engine and social network, and it will not proactively crawl any web. It only adds to their index what's been submitted. So I don't say you will master Naver from day one, but if you want to appear there, first thing you have to do is getting verified. The good news is there's interface in English, so you can do it even being outside. You don't have to have a South Korean phone number. You just have to make sure you submit yourself there. The last problem, rank tracking beyond Google. So let's say you've done first steps, or some of them, and you want to actually track your progress. There's some tools that are really good for that. Dragon Metrics, Advanced Web Ranking, and Rank Tracker. I've used the first 2. I've never used the last one, but I hear it's good. I'm not affiliated with any of them, but genuinely, these are the search engines. These are the tools to track the search engines from Google, because they track Bing, Yandex, Baidu, and more. Even this one tracks DuckDuckGo. So if you want to go very niche, that's your tool set. Unfortunately, Ahrefs, SEMrush don't do anything beyond Bing. I mean, Google, of course, and then Bing. The truth is, you can do international SEO without going to search engines like that. You can be perfectly fine with Google International SEO, but this is just this one step extra in tracking. Okay, so let's sum up what are the 5 essentials for international SEO. VPN, number 1. We are almost all here. We've already the first step, great. Auditing with international context. So you don't do anything else than auditing. You actually just add that extra layer of international checks and international context to what you do already. strategies for the natives. So you don't have to pretend to be a native speaker. You don't have to be one. You have to know how to communicate what they need to do to the native speakers. You master the webmaster tools. That's your tool to go. And honestly, just that one tool can differentiate you in the market. So yeah, setting up the properties separately, having some other webmaster tools than just Google, huge advantage. And tracking the rankings, so you actually measure what you're doing, which is essential for any SEO project. In this case, even extra if you know where to measure what you need to measure. Here are some links. That's the tools I've mentioned and actually use. So not everything I gave you alternatives for, but what I use at the moment. And the bonus thing is, this is a free tool by Advanced Web Rankings that helps you understand SERP features in different markets. It's beautiful, very complex. I didn't add a screenshot here because it doesn't make sense if you don't actually actively use it. But it lets you compare percentages of SERP features in different markets per different devices. So fantastic if you want to understand how your SERP looks like in different markets.